the whole thing.
No worries.
Are you host, Mr. Andrew?
Yeah, I think we just started. Let's start. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's been a second. This is the IoT Project Clinic. Balenistas, edge developers, project creators join. We talk shop. We ask the hard questions, and we troll one another. It's good times. Let's go with the intros. Phil, my friend, go for it.
Hello, I'm a product builder at Balena, aren't we all? I did start in labs, and now I do all manner of different things and have fun while I'm doing it. Serendipity for the win.
There you go. I'm Andrew Nem, lead content strategist and also a product builder. Build things, break things, win all the things, lose most of the things. I changed it up, Kyle. Your turn.
It's nice.
I don't know how to follow you. I'm going first next time.
You're just
Kyle,
going to do yourself, Kyle. Yeah.
I'm a product builder. Started on the OS team, but now I'm a builder of all things.
And I'm Dan. I'm a backend engineer here at Balena.
He's back. We haven't seen Dan in like weeks.
He's also a pyromaniac.
He ran out of excuses.
Peter?
I'm Peter. I'm a full stack web developer, and I'm working on Azure here at Balena.
Resident master. Peter.
Joe?
Hi, I'm Jao Baloyan. I'm the fleet ops guy. People have been calling me that. And
Is that what you do?
Builder.
We hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Here.
Okay. Yeah. Without the product. Yep.
Cool.
John?
Hi, I'm John. I'm designer at Balena, and I'm relatively fresh of all of a couple of weeks now.
Hey, welcome.
Laura.
I'm Laura. That was good timing. Like coming in straight during who everyone is. It was like something's happening. I'm Laura. I work in the kind of product team, focusing on our UX and UI of our dashboard and our various other products.
If Laura wants us to fix something today, I'm saying up front, we have not paid her. So when we do have it fixed, that is because we're just that good. We have not paid her in any way.
Yeah, she's not a plant. This is all legit.
Is this
Hey,
a
look at
hark
the-
back to my my screen, the mini
Look at
screen
these-
that works?
Yep.
Kind words coming through from Mr. Chris. You know what would be kinder if you joined?
Yes, Chris.
We'll take the
Come and
kind
bring your
words.
rakish hair into this
He's all
stream.
right in the comments. He's all right.
All right.
Carnage.
So we have a couple new residents. I'd love to start with them. The floor, Zhao, you want to start? The floor will be yours. You can ask any questions. Tell us about what you're building. We'd love to hear it.
Shall I just give like a
alright.
quick
Oh yeah, it's been a second. I
101
got
on
too
the
excited.
residency?
Go for it.
Yeah. Maybe you can find the blog post. Well,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
waffling. So what we noticed at Balena is it's quite different to where people have generally worked before, because we don't silo ourselves into team. We work in feedback loops, and we generally work in slightly different ways. So it was even more difficult for people to onboard into Balena than it generally is onboarding anywhere. So we changed it up, and we made this thing called a residency, where people like John and Zhao come in and they choose a project to work on, and then they hack on their own project for about a month and work with people at Balena to get up to speed on the job with a project that they want to do. And then they go off into other parts of Balena and don't talk to us anymore, and all of that.
Yeah, it's not true. The last part. Everything else is true. Check out the blog post for more details. Phil lovingly put together his reflection on the last 3 months, right? We've done this for 3 months now.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, number of graduates, many projects underway. It's good times. One real quick shout about the Balena Hub Challenge. Entries closed at the end of November. Now we're in the voting mode, so you vote with your devices. So head over to Balena Hub if you haven't. Check out projects, the most popular ones. Go on to the final stage.
Vote with your fleet. That just came to me. I'm wasted here, honestly.
It's a good one.
All
right.
Anyway, Zhao, smiliest man in the world, Zhao.
All right. So my project is involving a SDR, a software-defined radio. The context of this was me and Phil talked about a project that I wanted to balenify, which was actually my undergraduate thesis involving drones and where it can localize a radio signal. So let's say you have a search area, and then a drone localizes that search area with a signal, a radio signal, and taking into account the 1 month thing and the budget. So we settled on the SDR project where um, the I think the main value of it is creating the heat map of a radio frequency signal. So let's say like a popular network right now is like the helium network. So it runs on the LoRa frequency band. So given that band, we want to create a heat map of that in an area. So with the use of an SDR, we can do that. Currently, I haven't created the heat map yet. It's just readings of the frequencies. So I've been struggling with that. But yeah, the current iteration of it is like per band we have like waves of the frequency strength, and then in the future we want to display the heat map. Yeah.
I love that second album.
Yeah.
So tell me if I'm wrong. This is how I understand it. Radios generally to do with how they're tuned and their antenna, they're fixed to a particular range of frequencies. With a software-defined radio, you're able to dynamically change the frequencies they can tune to. So with your project, you can dynamically tune to different frequencies and sense how noisy that frequency is and then plot it on a graph.
So yeah, you can tune it to the LoRa frequency band, but you can also do other signals like Sigfox or 433 megahertz, which is, I believe, common frequency in IoT applications as well. So with just configuration in the software, you can do that and then change it.
And the cool thing with doing this as your residency project is we always try and find with residency projects something a resident wants to do, and that might be really like large amount of work. It could be many years worth of work. But if we can find like the slice of it that still is a step in the right direction but fits within a month, then that's the right thing to do, because then it's something that you're passionate about and want to pursue, and it gives you that lead into your it becoming your personal project, which is something at Balena that people have to hack on when they need to for whatever reason. So I'm guessing with your SDR thing that once you're able to control an SDR with Balena OS, then potentially you could build up to using the SDR attached to something like a drone or a robot or somebody with a backpack, and then work out kind of like the algorithm to zero in on a particular signal, like an emergency beacon or.
Right. So yeah, we had a talk with Christian, who was doing the robot block. So yeah, with the completion of my project, he wanted to also incorporate it in his project as well. Maybe we can do some mapping with the robot that he's building. Yeah.
That's cool. This is a far cry from our other SDR project, which I posted on here. That was kind of much more of a, hey, we're just gonna get some off-the-shelf stuff to tune into a band, and you're taking it to a whole other level, which is very exciting.
Yeah. But that was a great starting point, though, Mr. Allen's project. Yeah.
Good old Mr. Allen.
Nicest man in the world talks to the smiliest man in the world.
Oh, that's like a whole other show on its own.
I'd watch that.
I'd watch that.
Cool. Well, best of luck, Zhao. How deep are you into this project now? A couple weeks now?
Yeah, I think it's been about a month. Kind of got delayed a bit. Yeah.
You got good progress going on. That's what matters. And yeah, I hope you kick up a build log soon. Apologies if you haven't. I'm a little behind on that scene, but
I mean, it's worth at that point saying that we say it's about a month, but that we don't have deadlines at Balena because we can't predict the future. Weirdly enough, nobody can. So
what?
Yeah, right. So we don't have ETAs, we don't have estimates, we don't have deadlines because none of it makes any sense to us. But what we say is about a month, and then when we get to a month, let's just kick it about and see, do you need a bit longer, or are you done and ready to go on to your next thing?
Cool. All right, John, our other resident.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So mine was definitely a starting point of having very little hardware and software knowledge coming to Balena in a non kind of software role, and taking something, long chat with Phil, that felt like a really nice, as I said, contained project of a simple, what I thought would be a kind of simple lamp that changed kind of temperature in terms of the quality of the light over the day period, and doing that. So it's given me a nice little starting point of kind of LEDs and working with them and light temperature, and now just starting to kind of get my teeth into the coding bit and trying to get my little row of LEDs beside me to do what I want at the moment, which is, yeah, it's been a really interesting, even the first week of understanding how to think through these problems in the way that, like, I haven't done any real programming language before, so that was definitely a learning curve of just like, okay, this is how you've got to kind of break them down and not getting too carried away with certain things. So yeah, it's early stages still, but a lot of good fun.
That's cool. It's also a great note that it's an example of how everyone's welcome as well. It doesn't matter if you're deeply technical, have less technical skills. The whole point of the residency is for folks to live and breathe what it may be like to be an edge developer who uses Balena, a fleet manager who uses Balena, a thinker who wants to use Balena. And the residency program that Phil's built is great because it brings together however your role is as you enter the residency, you will find people to help fill in what you need to succeed. And we've been seeing a lot of that success so far, and it's a lot of fun. And the projects that come out the other end are very interesting. And because we do that, you don't get stuck thinking in one lane, right? You're able to kind of go out, brainstorm big, come back with a really focused project and see what happens from there.
Yeah, the way I think of that is that there's lots of hard problems that can help the world and humanity out there, and lots of people who can solve it, and not all of those people can code. We can't just try and enable people who are already deeply technical to use Balena to solve hard problems. So some of it is by learning from people who are less technical what's difficult to understand, where they need more help, perhaps where they need things like balenaBlocks that can add functionality already and just stitch things together like packages in a coding language. So it's super important for us to have the feedback from people like John and Laura. Just saying, nudge, nudge.
Did you just shamelessly plug balenaBlocks?
Oh.
Caught you.
No.
Yeah, okay.
But we do need to learn, like, where can we make edge development easier for people who aren't deeply technical, because everybody has good ideas and can come up with cool solutions to stuff. So let's enable them.
Ooh, question for you, John. Oh, you go,
Laura. So I was, you're like, not now. I want your feedback, not right now. I was just going to say the main thing that I find as a hurdle is assumed knowledge. I think that's something that has to be left at the door quite a lot, because things that are so second nature, like systems design being a big one, there are a lot of things that I think as engineers, it's very integral thought to how you work on a daily basis, that it's not something that we kind of come across or even kind of think about. So like reading Danella Meadows is quite a big thing of like shifting, this is how things can work. But I think that assumed knowledge is, while it doesn't matter, like you can be the most helpful that you can try and be, and I think sometimes people worry that they're coming across as patronizing, but it's like you're probably not. So that's like that would be my first hurdle. Sorry, Andrew, I segued into feedback time when it probably wasn't warranted.
Oh no, it's okay, it's great, we want that. I just had a question for John about his project. Would it be suitable to use to perhaps create a string of lights for like a Christmas tree, a holiday tree?
So that was my earliest starting point, was our original Christmas tree blog bit, and I hoped that it would be pretty close to that. Unfortunately, mainly for reasons that I'm using slightly different LEDs to get the kind of right temperature tones, it didn't line up as closely as that, but it's certainly good. I think it's the original starting point was I had a very rudimentary alarm clock that when the alarm went off, it would glow brighter and brighter as well. So like it would wake you up naturally even when it's pitch black outside at 5 in the morning in winter. So that was kind of where I was taking it from and thinking, okay, let's balenify this and make it kind of a digital and programmable thing rather than literally a light bulb that dims up and down when you set the alarm. I think the other uses, like it's very much just timing and controlling LEDs, so it could be on anything. I think it would work really nicely on any kind of mood lighting that you wanted, or kind of that kind of when you run strips of LEDs behind a TV or behind cupboards to get like nice lighting that isn't spot and isn't particular, I want to shine it on this, but just creating a nice color throughout the day that can like adapt to the environment potentially.
Looking forward to it. Phil, I think you dropped that link into the chat of the Fade Candy projects. At an interesting point. It is our go-to every year, but it looks like it may not be as supported as we'd like. So John, to hear that you have a potential runner-up that we can hack on and improve over time is very exciting.
Yeah, did you? It's possibly the best GitHub repo README I've ever read. The Fade Candy one.
Yeah,
so much drama.
Adapted into like a Netflix show or something.
Yeah.
I'd watch
Somebody
it.
should definitely like make a cartoon version of that README.
There's some fighting going on for sure, but not here, not at Balena, because we do stuff like this. We work in the open together. We genuinely dig each other. I hope. But yeah.
Yeah,
Dan,
right,
it's been far too long, my friend, and you haven't blown yourself up.
What have you burned?
Oh, what's that, Phil?
Yeah, what has he burned lately?
Yeah, give us the updates, man.
Dan.
Dan.
I was trying to find the unmute button, but I realized you unmuted me. Dude, oh my god. So you know the grill?
Yeah.
I never ended up doing it because
No!
it was cold outside. I was like, this is terrible. I ordered all the parts though. I have them.
Oh yeah.
So it's primed and ready for a warm day. I actually think it's going to be warm this weekend.
Why don't you recap us on where you're at, for those of you who are wondering what do you mean by the grill?
Yeah. So basically, the project there was we had this kind of discussion in our internal company chat about grilling when we were talking about doing our yearly summit, which is where we all meet in person, at least regionally. And there was light discussion around a smart grill powered by Balena. And I said, that's a great idea. We could have the Balena device check the temperature. It could control the fuel gauges and stuff. And everyone had a fit about it controlling, flammable propane. I didn't see a problem in it. I mean, that's basically how planes work. So, so I was like, I'll just order some parts and probably make it. I ordered the parts.
They're also just knocked up in somebody's garden from bits off the shelf as well. So, like, I see your reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, cars, planes.
No oversight on those things. You can just do whatever you want.
Yeah,
it's fine. If they can do it, I can. So, the goal is he doesn't think I can. The goal was basically build a grill that could be pretty much controlled over Wi-Fi. And I actually saw this really funny meme the other day. It was a picture of someone's grill doing a Wi-Fi update. It said, "Please do not restart grill during update." And it was on 4th of July. He said, "Yep, this is a good time to send out an update."
Oh no!
But so that's the project. Was basically, let's make a smart grill, a grill that you can kind of monitor what's going on from your phone, and other smart features. Like, for example, let's say you do a really good job at grilling some burgers. Like, just everyone thinks it's money, right? Well, the smart grill recorded the temperature curve of that cooking event. So now you can just like hit play, and then your master chef, while you're watching football or whatever, it's just perfectly grilling your food. And then the phone tells you it's time to go get it. And you're like,
is there a citizen science element to this where like other burger aficionados can upload what they think is the ideal burger cook
like a
temp curve?
community.
We could
Like,
have
contributor.
like a sharing platform
Oh,
for meals. So like, hey, if you order like this Impossible Burger, it looks like this packaging. And the problem is grills are different, you know. So the burners are laid out
That's the
differently.
problem. Yeah.
Installation is different. That's
That's the
only
biggest problem in all of this.
The
Yeah.
whole, the only
yeah,
one.
not the explosion part.
That's why
That's
nobody's
awesome.
done it.
I love that you had to reiterate that, Phil, because it's so deadpan that you can't read the sarcasm the first time round. You're like,
Well,
that's his biggest
No,
problem.
the point that we had last time is because Balena, you can do the remote updates. It's not a problem because if it explodes, I can be working on it from far away. Like I don't have to plug in with a wire into the grill.
You're not near them. Okay.
Yeah, just stick it out in the middle of the yard. You know, big Wi-Fi access point antenna. You know, we're good. We're good.
Man, that's a whole new section to our fleet management docs.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's like this. I'm gonna be the reason that you
Please
have
don't
to put
try this at
flammable
home.
warnings on your
Yeah.
Balena docs.
I have a feeling that Dan's going to be the reason for lots of warnings on our documentation.
Yeah.
See, I'd stupidly thought that when you said grill, you meant an electric one, but
No, that's too easy.
Yeah,
John.
not for
apparently-
Dan.
I mean,
Dan needs more.
Why not play with gas? That's fine.
if there's not an explosion risk, Dan's not interested.
Or where's the thrill in that?
Yeah.
It's got to be mains electricity or propane for Dan to even get going on it.
Well, I did the mains electricity one. You remember last time when I showed my blinker thing for the DevOps? I was literally, you know, I was in my basement. My dad comes down, and I'm literally cutting a power cord in half to expose like the raw socket. He's
you were
like,
gonna
"What are you
suggest you
doing?"
were
I'm like,
grilling
I
in your
have a degree in
basement, and I
this.
was
Don't
like-
worry.
You're like,
No.
DevOps, Dad. DevOps.
This is my job. Go away.
Actually, so I had, you know, this little what do they call them? The outlet relays just sitting on my desk plugged into the socket. I'm like, yo, if I like accidentally touch those two pins with my finger,
Man.
add tingle. So yeah, I already done the mains electricity one. Yeah,
There's a lot of moments in
Where did
this
it tingle,
career
my
where
friend?
it's like, this is my job, go away, where you have to justify it to people.
I can just imagine Dan's dad somewhere else in the house now going, "What did we do?
Where did we go
See,
wrong?
the lights dim and then go back on.
Hey, Dan, how
Supposed to be
is the
adopted.
adoption for your DevOps on call button? Did you send one out to the rest of the
I
squad?
unplugged it.
Oh, Kyle doesn't have one.
Turns out it's
Yeah,
really annoying.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because it's loud. It's like a heart attack all the time. And I haven't totally finished the like filtering if I'm on call, so I know if there are any problems any of the time, which is maybe great for an office scenario. However, my room,
Not so much.
it's a little different, and stuff goes down at like 3 a.m. You're like,
I told you we
okay,
should have opened
really
this episode with a disclaimer.
What was that
whenever
disclaimer?
I want.
Just as soon as we saw Dan, we should have been like,
Don't
don't
try
try
this at
anything
home.
he does at home.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's that guy. For on our
We
show.
we actually
I
we
love
need
it.
We should
something
do
on
some
call.
AI that recognizes
Yeah.
Dan's face on any kind of like stream or anything.
I was
and
thinking, like, if
immediately,
you-
like-
If you look at a fleet or a project on Hub and it's got Dan's name against it, there should be an automatic warning then.
Oh, we'll
Like
put
the
a badge.
Facebook, like,
Put a badge up.
like
Like a-
fake
yeah.
news warnings from Facebook. It's just
Oh.
automatically.
This guy's nuts.
Just like
sensitive,
caution,
like
caution
sensitive
tape over his
content, and it
project.
just flares.
That's what we need to do.
Oh my god.
Oh, good stuff.
Look at Andre snuck in there,
What's up?
fashionably late.
Under the radar.
Finally found the link.
What are
I'm
you
so
doing
sorry.
these days, Andre?
Actually, Peter and I were trying to marry our projects together. I'm doing a Wi-Fi mesh. Actually, trying to blockify it now. So the idea is if you have a couple of devices and you don't want to put too much traffic on the client's Wi-Fi, then only one of them connects to the Wi-Fi. All the other devices can connect to it and talk to each other through their own mesh network.
Cool.
Nice.
It's like Labs Residents now self-forming into cool teams doing projects on their own. This is the dream, Kyle.
Can we use that Wi-Fi mesh for like a local network just to like strengthen our internet access if we have trouble with that, like a repeater kind of thing?
I suppose you could, although that's not what it's designed for. It's not meant to be running like on access points that can like expand the Wi-Fi. It's more like if you have. So the application we're using it for is for Etcher Pro. Basically, if you want to daisy chain a bunch of etchers and you don't want to push all that traffic over a client's Wi-Fi, so you'll just you'll connect the edgers to each other, and only one of them will talk to the internet. Like if you want to flash from URL or something, then all of the other devices will just talk to each other, and they won't pollute the Wi-Fi.
Okay, but that could also be used for something like, let's say, cameras doing surveillance, and they've got ML models or something that they've got a reference data that they've got to pull down. One device could pull that down over the Wi-Fi, and the rest could just mesh it.
Yeah.
Ooh, a little bit of fleet intelligence action.
Nice.
I like that. I gotta know, because custom ringtone people are like rare. But why the custom ringtone?
That was his monologue music.
To identify different people, so I don't have to look at the phone.
Yeah, these new phone hacks, man. I love it.
I have this new trick where I just turn my ringer off, and then I don't really care who's calling.
Same. I do that.
Same. Everyone is. I'm like,
oh
yeah.
We got silent mode, then we got do not disturb, and I was just like, I don't have to look at anything ever again.
Yeah,
that's my plan.
Do not disturb.
Yeah.
When's do not disturb off? It's not off. It's just never off.
So, Laura, when are we going to get you to come and do a residency and do a project? That's what I want to know.
Next year.
There you go. Good answer.
Yeah.
I know what we want to do. Like Andrew and I have been talking about this with Christina for quite a long time. But looking at is Balena Sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right project?
There are a couple steps. So one step would be to kind of do what Mr. Allen, Mr. Chris did with the air quality sensor and take it the hardware route. So it's taking either Balena Sense or Balena Plant and creating some sort of going through the motions of like a user who wants to use Hub as their hardware hub and creating like a little GNOME chassis for the device and seeing how we could set up a way for people to order that thing. And then there are other phases where we also need to update like Balena Plant because Andre builds a bunch of goodies that I haven't had the time to like take a look at. So there are a couple different steps there, and maybe that's worth ironing out on this call. Like what's worth the residency. And your flavor is different, right? Our flavor is different because we're not new. I think in the relative to like the existence of the universe, we're new. But like we're kind of like jumping into the residency. And this is the
Today
whole
I learned
flavor.
Andrew's less than 4 billion years old. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was born yesterday.
This will be an interesting flavor of residency because all of them have been newcomers, correct?
Yeah. So the residency, in my head, it follows this where the first phase is new people coming in and joining. It's the onboarding mechanism. The second phase is people who are already at Balena but could do with either just want to come and do a residency to chill out and be less abstract for a while, or people who haven't got a personal project and so don't have much skin in the game and want a project. Those people come in. And we need to work out the model of that because I don't think there's many people at Balena who feel like they could not do their normal job for a month. So I think we need to work out how those people, like, do they come and do it on a Friday or like 2 days a week? Are they able to reduce their normal work down to like the bare minimum that they have to get done, and all the other time is then spent in the labs doing their project? We need to sort of work that out. So having somebody like Laura on board would be good to try and work out that workflow. And then the third phase, to my mind, is to get people in the community to come and do residency projects.
Nice.
And enable them. And when somebody's doing a residency, they have a project Sherpa who's like an experienced project builder to guide them. So somebody like Laura, like John's got Rahul, who's an all-round good dude and super technical, so he can help John. Although John's a bit of a sleeper. He comes in saying, I've got no hardware experience, I've got no software experience, and then just killed this residency for the past 2 weeks.
Oh, we see what's
a
going
long
on
con.
here. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm also the guy that spent 4 hours on Monday going through beginner Python tutorials. So
You're doing it right though. You got the attitude of learning, self-training.
But then
and
the hope for that
quality.
sort of phase 3 is that people in the community can come and do residencies and also have access to some kind of Project Sherpa and attend this clinic for project help and things.
True. You hear that, Laura? We're going to be part of Phil's Cinematic Universe Phase 2.
Yeah, the sequel.
With a sequel. Okay.
Yeah.
The sequel's the best one, isn't it? The Empire Strikes Back's much better than...
It
That's
depends.
one of my favorite sequels.
Like
man.
some
Good
films
choice.
should be standalone things, and then other things
Like Home
would
Alone.
definitely sequels.
Home
are
Alone
better.
2 is much better than Home Alone. Yeah.
Oh, interesting debate. I thought Home Alone should
This
have
could
just ended with one.
segue. Like, do you want me to derail this whole thing? Because I can.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's derailing Sherpa at this point.
Oh yeah, hang out with you long enough for sure.
Yeah. Okay, she's going. We need to tangent back now.
Look at this guy. Titanic 2 was terrible. Yeah, 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever.
What have you got in the project locker, Mr. Kyle? You've always got like 11 projects on the go.
Yeah, I've been looking at more blocks recently. Like, I don't have a good focus point for like what we really need, but I know that things I'm encountering on the DevOps side and on the OS side, it should be easier to do some things that we do on a fairly regular basis as part of troubleshooting or maintenance or debugging. So I'm looking at blocks that could assist with like setting our lock file if our Jenkins builds are running. Similar with our automated OS testing, I would like to be able to set update locks if our test bot is currently running a test, so it can't be rebooted, because we should be deploying on merge, but those deploys should be held off until there's an active build or test not currently running. These can be packaged up fairly easily. It's more just making the time to do it and figuring out what the architecture is going to look like. Like, how are we going to pull Jenkins to make sure that it's busy versus not busy, and same with our Leviathan test suites. How are we going to check to see, is this worker in use? If it's not in use, remove the lock. That way, a new release can be applied automatically, and we can just merge, and merge becomes deploy using our nice new balena CI utility. So I'm looking at a number of things in that area. Plus some debugging things that we might want to use for fleet ops. Like I had a block that could modify some systemd services on disk on the host, but it was tailored to do one thing. It can be easily made more generic with some environment variables and things like that. So my focus is primarily OS testing, but I'm seeing a lot of need for blocks along the way, so I'm hacking on those when I get time.
Nice.
Cool. What I like about the blocks framework is that you're solving for blocks for a need that you've identified working at Balena day to day. We also have folks out there who are doing the exact same thing, but not in the Balena-verse, right? They're literally creating blocks and contributing them because they just find this gap or this pain point in whatever they're doing. It's all inclusive. It's inclusive in that regard. It's not like you're building a block that's only for a Balena project. You're actually going to help many edge developers take that one little bit of friction out of, the bigger thing they're building.
Yeah, like if
Often
I can make
it starts with what you're doing, Kyle. Like, look at my day to day. What hurts the most? I'm gonna fix that.
I can probably make one block to solve both of these problems. If I can have a block that's generic enough that it knows how to set an update lock and remove an update lock, and the input is like what URL are you going to curl and what response are you expecting to get a Boolean response, like true or false, based on the response of this URL, so we can hit a REST API or something and determine whether the lock should be set or not. I should be able to make that generic enough that you can provide it parameters, and the result of that parameter is going to be whether or not the lock should be set. So that's the goal, making time for such things while things are actively breaking around me.
Product builder. Wow. Can you make a block that prevents Dan from blowing himself up?
That one's quite literally on the back burner. We'll see how it goes.
Even his dad can't save him, so how can he block?
I love how he actually gets to tell his dad, I have a degree in this, leave me alone. That's just so,
Get out of my room.
So neat. I'm the expert here. Leave.
His dad's now got no house lighting and his garden's burnt.
Here's this hissing out in the backyard, not quite sure where it's coming from.
It's just Dan.
Just taking the power
yeah.
cables of everything.
I've been working on a block lately as well, Mr. Kyle. I've been working on version 2 of the connector block,
Ooh.
which I think could be made better. So that's what I've been doing lately.
What does it do? First, context.
So all of the blocks, what they do is add some functionality to your project so that you don't have to do it. And the connector block, what it does is tries to find anything on your device as part of your fleet that produces data and anything that might consume data and automatically link the two together or the multiples together. So if you've got like a sensor and you've got an influx database, then it will move the data being produced by the sensor into influx and you don't have to. Or it'll find MQTT and take any data that goes across that message broker and put it onto any other kind of data sync. And the one that we've got at the moment does work, but I feel like it could just be even more intelligent in finding things and doing the right thing for you. So I'm doing that. And I also want to use it as a way to make the very best block I could possibly make so that I love it deeply like one of my own children. And then I care enough to go and advocate for all the things that blocks need. Blocks,
I look forward to this.
Blocks is my product. But I don't feel like I can be the best product builder I can be with blocks until I deeply care about one of my blocks and I'm willing to suffer for its future. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm trying to make the very best block I can so that I deeply love it and therefore build the infrastructure of blocks around it.
Building up your block.
Are you on the hub around, its icon?
Just like love my hearts around my block.
Are you changing the way how it scans for sources or how it scans for targets or the message queue in between?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. So at the moment, what it does is it goes and talks to the supervisor on the device and it asks for the target state to try and see what other service is and then try and work out from things like the port it's using and those types of things. What service is this? And also if you've called it a sensible name, like you've called your service MQTT, then we'll just assume it is MQTT and wire it up that way. But this is like a good point of I want to build the best block I can so that I do the best product building job I can, because then I am making something that's quite reliant on Balena because I'm assuming there's a supervisor and a target state. And it's forcing me to think more about, could I just do that from standard Docker commands? Or could I go and interrogate the local networks and see what services I can find? Or is there a better way I can do it in a more generic way that's not just for people using Balena? But at the moment, yeah, it's still using the supervisor. And that's how it's working at the moment.
So with the recent residencies, do you see future ones getting so intricate that they identify new blocks we can create? Or is it more like, right now we see the path, I wouldn't say it's the path of least resistance, but people are finding the projects that they enjoy, they find the right Sherpas to help out. I guess I'm just really curious just to see what could be next as we have more product surface area to play with as like both newbie residencies and current balenista residencies happen.
Yeah, I think finding a project that somebody wants to work on as part of their residency is really hard because there needs to be a slice of it that fits in a month. But even that concept's quite hard. When somebody comes in, they get to choose a project to work on, but you need to kind of help them see what would be a month-long bit of it to do that's a step in the right direction. It's hard to get to that idea. Like John and I spoke for a long time about lots of different things. Zhao was a completely different case where I had to stop him at idea number 11. I was like, I think we're all right now. We'll just like, if we could get it down to your top 5, we'll talk about them. Zhao had so many ideas.
It's almost like we don't agree on deadlines, but we take a new hire who might have never used our product, might have never used Docker, and say, make something with it. Oh, and it should last approximately exactly a month.
Yeah.
And like lay it out before you start. Like, how are they going to know how long it's going to take to make a container?
And in that month, you've got to blog about it and like yeah, it is really hard.
It's not
we're
really
getting better.
easing in, is it? Labs residency. It's absolutely terrifying.
The wall.
Can't
Absolutely
That's what the
crashing
Sherpa's for. Shoulder to
That's
cry on.
that's why you have a Sherpa to help you guide you, because it does sound terrifying, and then you get on a call with your Sherpa and they lead you through that journey and they sort of help you split it down and divide up your time.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about this. It's like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the depth in which a labs residency allows you to meet new teammates, learn new technology, perhaps some skills, build something really interesting for the long haul, or in another different kind of company, follow these HR guidelines to set up your email and your things, and then good luck. The snacks are over there, the ping pong's over there. Have fun, right? Like
We have bean
I
bags.
prefer the farmer.
Yeah. I can see why it is terrifying. Like when we started the residency, that didn't occur to me at all. I was just in my happy little brain thinking, everybody's going to think this is amazing.
You're
And
like,
lots of people did. Lots of people did.
Because I think it's less.
Yeah, my brain is.
I mean, admittedly, what we're doing is it's a big ask. It's a big task in terms of like actually there's a lot to navigate. But I think as well, the other thing, and like John, I think we've spoken about this recently, is like part of you feels like you should be raring to go with everything else and what's going on with Balena. So there's a part of you that's like, I can't possibly focus on this. There's so many other things that I should be doing. And it's kind of being given that permission to take your time over something and just focus on like, hey, you're just going to do this. You don't have to think about anything else right now. Like just focus on this. It's quite jarring because we are like, we're not fast paced, but we are fast paced. Like we're sort of quite full of juxtapositions as a company. It's like
the thing is
great, but
that advice has always been the same: to take your time, to attend meetings and listen and ask questions, and don't try and contribute until you've got some context. That's always been the advice. But without the residency, nobody did it. Everybody tried to jump in and do something immediately, and it invariably doesn't go well.
I think it gives you some direction as a new hire, because like I was told, like, don't contribute, just go watch old keynotes and attend meetings and hang out, and I'm like, I can't do this for months after being hired. Like I need to work on something. So being given, like, I wish I'd been given a residency at the time. Like, here's a task, go do it. You'll pick up a lot of stuff along the way. Yeah, maybe it's intimidating, but you're also going to learn the nature of things just by interacting with your teammates and seeing how the tools work and asking questions and attending meetings on the side. But your priority, you now have a goal.
Wait a second. Wasn't your residency, though, just being this, like, amazing community contributor for years?
Maybe I'm a bad example.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah, you played the long game, man.
You seriously
kept banging on that door.
Yeah. Let me in.
I'm surprised you did. I mean, I was doing all that work for free. I don't know why.
Wasn't me, Kyle.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. Yeah.
I think he's in the chat.
But yeah, it is sort of a leap of faith for new residents to come in, that they must concentrate on their residency and must not get involved in other tasks. And we understand that. And that's why people like me and the Sherpas will be there holding their hand saying, it is okay, you're okay, you must keep going with your project. Because our hope is, and what we see is happening, is that people come out of their residency with far more context. And now they're so keen to contribute, but they have a good chance of contributing in the right way. Whereas before, that very rarely happened. So it is a leap of faith, and I know it's stressful. And so the thing that we have to do better there is be better at telling people, we know this is going to feel stressful and you're not on your own. Like even when it comes to writing the blog, Jow, you haven't written your blog yet, but like there's a whole team that are going to write the blog with you. You just pour your words onto a page, and then people like Andrew will make those words.
You're totally undoing my self-service blogging initiative.
but where people
all of us like,
you
need your own cognitive burden, and now you're like, yeah, everyone else will do it for you. It's fine. All you got to do is ask.
I'm do it for you.
I'm teasing.
You've got to get the content out, but then we can pitch in and shape it and make it read well. And then when John's finished mucking about with his residency, he can do cool images so it looks nice.
There you go.
We're entirely picture based, don't worry.
Crayon. It's a lot of, it's the first taste of assessing risk and reward as well. Like at Balena, we believe in, you choose the things you want to do, the products you want to build, the things you want to suffer for that have the highest upside and the lowest risk. And that ratio changes depending on what part of the Balena layer you're working on. From like the back end all the way to like the blog and everything in between. At least that's how I see the spectrum in my head. A residency project is like the lowest risk and the highest upside. Like if you mess up your residency project, you learn 10 or 20 things along the way, but you didn't take down our product. So that's one thing
that.
What's that?
There's plenty of time to do
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure. That's later. That's phase 4.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a challenge?
No. Absolutely not.
Face the wrath if you want to, but probably
Make
not.
sure to do it when Dan's on call, not me.
There you go.
Yeah, make sure none of us are scheduled.
On the residency and blocks stuff, do you have a guideline? What is the border of blocks? An indicator that this should be a block or this should be a whole project? For example, John was working with LADs. Could he do a LADs block?
Yeah, he could do. So at the moment, what we say with the residency for new joiners, that a block wouldn't be something that would be a residency project, because a block is kind of defined as not doing something useful on its own. So if you added the browser block to a device, but you didn't tell it anything to display, then it wouldn't do anything useful for you. If you give it a URL, then it now displays a URL and it does something useful. We don't want residents to make blocks because it's a bit abstract, and we want something that solves a problem that, is a complete project. But I think it's definitely okay for a resident to come in and make a project or a fleet, and part of that also contributes a block as part of that process.
You can do what Andre did, and when I was Sherpering him, I made him use only blocks to build his fleet, and he ended up making like 5 new blocks to get his new application
Andre's
going.
blocks are so good, yeah. And because Andre made so many blocks and Buckles made a load of blocks in the last hack week, we now have we have so many more options for new residents and community members now to build a project and not have to actually do much coding themselves and just connect blocks together. So the more of those sort of things we get, the better.
Is that a challenge, Phil?
It is a challenge. Okay. If you can build an app completely out of blocks, Andrew will send you his t-shirt.
Oh.
And Laura will make you a cake. Are you good at cakes? I was trying to pick something maybe you could do.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure I saw you making cake in a Monday thread.
Long, like that. You're like, God, what does Laura do?
I saw pictures of
multiple instruments right behind her, and
Phil
you're like,
needs
she
to be
probably
your
bakes.
Sherpa. That's what I'm hearing.
You're always posting food on the Monday thread.
Am I?
Yeah.
More
than
you think.
Okay. Andrew would know. He's always thinking about food.
Phil will take you on a walk. I don't know. Like.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I make you a cake. Why not?
So, why I was asking.
Excellent, Chris.
So, sorry, John, to come back to the LEDs again. I use LEDs, or at least I like to use LEDs a lot, like this one, this one, showing that my camera is on. But you can drive these LEDs in a lot of ways. John, I don't know, do you use a headboard, or it's directly having your API? So
mine are plugged straight into the Raspberry Pi, but also once again, because that was slightly because they're not a standard kind of RGB LED strip that kind of a lot of the drivers, like the fade candy, seem to be set up for. So I need to, like, a lot of the things I've been working on is like controlling the individual fade between the pairs of LEDs and how they kind of work and concurrently. So it's all been pretty pretty simple, but kind of like straight with no kind of middle stuff in between it at the moment.
So it won't. If it would be a block, it won't be a general LED block. It would be a LED block for this board or that board. Or how would you?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like the LED stuff is one element of my project. I think the other side, which is I'm starting literally the last couple of days to get my teeth into it, is more like the scheduling of stuff. So it's just like, well, what time do the LEDs change color value, and at what time do they actually turn on, and kind of having to have layers of scheduling happening at the same time. So I think that's potentially, I mean, as I said, early days of getting my teeth into it, but that feels like a more contained kind of block, as I understand it, of like some kind of scheduler, which then feels quite universally applicable. Of it doesn't have to be a set of LEDs; it could be any other thing that your device is doing.
We do have a cron block, Mr. Kyle.
Oh, okay. So maybe this is more advanced. I haven't looked. I've seen talk about it, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah, when I looked to see whether it would help John, I think it posts a curl command according to a cron schedule, which probably wasn't going to help John too much here.
No, I think we need it more flexible than that.
But I could definitely see, Peter, that like reducing the friction of people being able to use LEDs would be a great block if it could find out what you're using. You know, it knows what hats there are. It knows directly connected options, those sort of things. That would be great.
Yeah. So having my own example, my residency project was about driving electric motors, and that's also dependent on what driver you use. So it's quite difficult to make a generic motor driver block, because then the image would be 10 gigabytes with all the drivers possible. So does it make sense to have a block for this kind of boards, of motors, and so on? So have a list of motor blocks.
Yes, good question. And I think this is the same question we've had before about the sensor block, which is used in balenaSense, because at the moment that will support any sensor where the driver's already in our kernel or in Balena OS. But really, we want to also be able to overload other drivers. And I wonder if maybe a block like that for LEDs or motors.
I wish Christian was here.
Yeah, it's like a hardware abstraction layer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk to Christian about whether his hardware abstraction layer, there's like another block that's even deeper than his robotics one, where it's just about motor drivers. Yeah, it's worth having a discussion.
Well, we'll have him on next. He couldn't make it today. He had some family in town and stuff, but yeah, it's a good question to tee up for Christian when we can wrangle him. And I think that's it. That was pretty fun. We hadn't done these in a bit. And it was good to see everyone and take all the questions, hear about the latest projects, and hopefully the next time we meet, there's some progress across the board and we can talk some more shop.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a good weekend.
See you.